Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. Today we are going to be looking into the creation of my latest track, Observatory. This one's actually pretty simple, and a quick note on it. Everything you hear, except for this boom, everything except for that was created using the stock instruments in Logic Pro. So all the drums, all the synthesizers, all the stock instruments, and I like that. That's cool. So it's just proof that you don't need to buy 10,000 expensive plugins to get good music. As long as you have a cool idea and some skill, you can make it work. So we are starting out. I started out and I arbitrarily chose a key to compose in, because if I'm kind of scrapped for music ideas, I'll just choose a random key and play around on my keyboard with just scrolling through presets until I find something that interests me and play around with it. So I started in D major, and I start out with this. Gotta start from the beginning here. Ha! And this goes throughout pretty much the entire song. It's not even a chord progression, it's just one chord. But so this is progressive house, so the idea is that it starts off not slow, but it starts off sparse and slowly builds up to not a drop, but to a climax of sorts where all the instruments come in and it just slowly builds up to that kind of ebbs and it's almost like the song is telling a story sort of thing. And I really enjoy that kind of thing, and I can't finish the sentence because I'm not good at speaking off the cuff. So, start off with this, and I can just go in and mute everything else and just bring it in slowly, actually. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so we start off with these thing right here. Then I added in a second patch here. And this is with the ES2. Did some tweaking on that. Playing the same chord progression. You get that on top of this. Get a nice little pluck there. And then once I had that going, I started thinking about a melody, so I pulled in this harp right here. Actually pop this up to the top here. Doink. So the harp just Logic has some really great virtual instruments, some great virtual like orchestral stuff, which I really like. And one of the things that the harp sounds super cool. So I started just playing around until I came up with sort of melody. And the thing you got to notice about this melody is that each time it repeats, each time it's like a little motif. So there's the little dun dun, and then it does something else. And so I mean the little dun dun, and then whatever comes after it changes through the 8 bars that this part goes on. And so it's not just this part is what keeps this from getting repetitive. But at the same time, it's got this kind of repeating to it. It starts off with a little dun dun. This one as well, that'll start with a little dun dun. But then it kind of goes somewhere else. So far we've got this. And then I add in 2 more pads, which I'll play. This one's got like a delay on it. If you look in the ES2, there's a delay going somewhere. So that's this one. And I don't know if you can hear it with the way I have this set up to record the audio coming from the computer and the audio coming from my mic. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's panned 30% to the right. And then the other pad right here, it's pretty different, but it's panned 25% to the left. And so when you play them together, you get a wider sound. And the fact that there's something different makes like really different. If you just to take the same thing and copy it and pan one left and one right, that does absolutely nothing. But if you're to have 2 different things, even if they're a little bit different, it does make it sound wider. And with this, they're quite different, but they have the same kind of quality to them, so you get a nice wide sound, and they just sound cool. So with all this so far, and also at the same time I added these in, I added in these other little parts here, playing the same thing as the lead. So we got kind of mimicking the sound of the harp. Then this one, and then this one. I'm especially fond of that sound. I don't know why. It just makes me happy. So the basic purpose of all these is to thicken up the harp sound and add an electronic-ness to it, because it starts out with the harp is this kind of beautiful instrument, and then add in the electronic-ness, and you get this cool combo of the orchestral and the electronic-ish. So that kind of mirrors the harp. This one also sounds kind of harpish, but a lot more electronic. And then this one is to thicken it up, and so all together you have, I'll just play the leads by themselves first. And then in the context of the mix, at this point, to lead up to the next part, I bring in the arpeggiator, or arpeggiated synth. So this is a play. Oh, because it's low passed. Pop it up higher. And so I have it playing the exact same chord as all the other main things, with another note added in, so it doesn't do a triple thing, but it's more like a... Well, I'll just play it for you. Soloed here. And what I've done is, when I play it here, you can barely even hear it, the way it comes in. Starts off muffled and gets more and more as it goes along. So basically what I did was I grabbed an EQ with just rolling off highs, rolling off lots of highs, and then I automate it to roll off less and less highs, so the high end can come through more and more, and it just has this cool rising effect and adds some movement to the track and builds nicely into the next part, which I'll play in a second. So, I got stuff from where a chord plays. And builds into what will be the next part. So the next part is fairly similar. We start off with this. Playing a different chord progression this time. Doing a cool panning thing. And this is a different chord progression. So I just switch between the two chord progressions. And done tastefully, it keeps it interesting and not repetitive. So you have this one, and then just a pad below it. And then finally we get to bring in the drums, and that's always fun. So the drums are 2 drum tracks, and they're both from Ultra Beat. This is a Big Beat remix kit. That's not it. So played by itself. Even a little, where's that? No, that's not it. I'll find it later. A little shaker sound. And then layered on top of that is the Boutique 909. A lot more electronic-y. And one thing to note is that on this one, the shaker is just going, but on this one, it's going, the hi-hat, that is. So when you layer on top of each other, and by the way, I always layer my drums, or most of the time anyway. Most of the time you layer my drums, especially when working with Ultra Beat, because the sounds built in are not the best, and I'm not very good with drum synthesis yet. So laid on top of each other, they sound like this. And you hear the way the hi-hats interact. I'm not sure why that sounds cool. It just does. A lot of this I actually tend to do instinctively. Like I've been reading some books on EDM production, and there's been stuff I found like, oh, I already do that. And that's always cool. So here's what we've got so far. And then they'll boom just to say, we're in a new part. Oh my gosh. So on top of that stuff, 8 bars, 16 bars. I let that go on for a while. Add this. Playing the exact same chord progression on yet another synth part, so. And then to add some groove, yes, I did use a loop. I used a built-in Logic loop here. And put it in just subtly, so it kind of adds this kind of... adds a little bit of a bounce to the drums, like that. Once again, just takes it to another place, and that combined with this. And then we have a little breakdown section here. It's just the harp by itself. And then once again, to rise into the final kind of climax, I'll bump the mic, of the song, I have the arpeggiator. And that once again. And just one of the kicks, so it's a little thinner by itself. If you play them both together, they're one thing, but if you just play it by itself. And then the warp speed effect. And all that. So you notice there's something missing here, and that is the bass, which is very important. And also the other arpeggiator, because I added the arpeggiator in, so we have... I tweaked the patch a bit, and you have it going like... I gotta start from the beginning so the chord plays. It's really subtle, but sounds cool. And finally, the bass, which, if you notice, the drop is really... when the beat finally kicks in, it's really unsatisfying because there's no bass. That's... ugh. So not fulfilling. So I have 2 instances of big saw bass, which I really like. This one playing a super, super low. And that's just held down all the way down here. And then the other one playing up a little bit higher. So together. And so now when you have the drop, and notice I didn't do the bass over here. I held the bass back for the final climax, if you will, because it's that much more satisfying when the bass finally comes in. You get... I think the bass are really the key to the way it sounds so full, even though it's really pretty sparse. This is not a lot of tracks at all. Does this track even have everything on it? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll get to that. And, yeah, it stays pretty sparse. And then I finally go back into the other chord progression and add another super thick pad back in. And then and so it goes like this. Without it. Sparse, but then I add it back in. So much better. And then this last little lead part, which is just one of the leads from earlier. And then this new element, which is a little bell. Once again, even though to keep it fresh, I adding another little melody riff. So it goes. And lastly, back down to another boom, and just ends. So that is the creation of Observatory. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next Monday. Peace out.